Buongiorno, buonasera, benvenuti amici, welcome my friends. My name is Vincenzo and welcome to my channel, and the channel is Fountain Pen Therapy. Well, folks, welcome once again for this weekly recap. I'm enjoying doing these things. I know a lot of you do. Typically this sort of an episode gets published and is on air Sunday morning. So, have your beverage while you're having breakfast. Just relax, sit back, take a look at the timestamps. If there's anything there that interests you, go straight to the timestamps. If not, please enjoy the entire episode. I've got another, I think, interesting episode for you. We try to get some different things on this channel, but obviously we concentrate on pens, journals, paper, and inks. And we've got quite a bit of a varied lineup for you today. So without any further ado, I want to try to get it all done within that hour. Hopefully just go over it just a tiny bit, but we've got quite a bit to cover. So without any further ado, here is the Fountain Pen Therapy weekly recap for February 2nd, 2025. Okay, so for the first segment of this recap, we take a look at the market generally. What's going on in the last week, just to see if there's anything novel there that needs to be mentioned and that I want to highlight for you. I got to tell you, it's maybe the February blues. We're into February now. We've had, the end of January was last week. There's not much there, I can tell you. Typically, I don't know, retail is always a little bit down in January, February until things pick up in the spring, but maybe the pen market is the same thing. First and foremost, let's take a look at the Chinese pen market. Well, I really have got nothing there for you. I'm still waiting for the three pens that were announced to us by our friend Shanghai Knife Dude. That is the Ongdian N25 Ear of the Snake, which I understood had already sold out in the Chinese market. Let's hope that there's something there for us. There's also that Ongdian titanium pen, the T1, and the Majon Titanium 137, which is a kind of Year of the Snake edition of the 137 or the 136, that titanium pen that Majon came out with. I'm constantly looking for these three pens almost 3 times a day in the hope that I see them either on Etsy, AliExpress, or Amazon, and I have yet to see them. Folks, if you have any other sites that I should be looking at, some of the Chinese sites are difficult to navigate. Let me know. We'll keep up to date. And as you know, I try to get them to you as quickly as possible so that you can make a decision and take a look at them before you jump. One viewer kind of criticized my fashion of doing things. Sometimes I ink the pen the same day that I review it. I recognize that, ideally this should be done. You should play with the pen a little while so you can give a better perspective. But I want to get the review to you as quickly as I can. I'm trying to scoop it right at the start so that before you push that cart and order, you have at least an idea of what it's like. I always kind of revisit the pen if I see a major problem, and that ASVINE C2000 is monopolized some of our attentions, and it's not going to be any different for this recap. I've got a little bit of a twist there for you that's coming up, so stay tuned for that. So other than that, there's really nothing else that I noticed that be worthwhile buying. The different colors of different pens, etc., but nothing spectacular. If you saw anything, please let me know, and we'll take it from there. So that's the Chinese pen market. Next, what have I got for you? Well, let's take a look at my screen here. We'll cut to I always like to take a look at Patent Street just to see what they've got up on their site. Nothing that would interest me for the time being. A lot of vintage pens, though, that may interest other parties. You've got Parker there. We've got this Williamson oversized. It sounded very intriguing just because of the way it looks. But anyway, take a look at that. I constantly look at, you got a platinum there, that you've got an OMAS here for $150 that might be interesting for some of you. So there you have it. Patent Street, I think, is always a nice site to take a look at. What else have I got for you? The only other thing, or one of the other things I wanted to mention was that SB Brown has come up, has done a collaboration with Appleboom and with Jonathan Brooks, and has come up with another one of his pens, which is the one you're seeing on the screen. Now, I got to tell you, folks, it was in my cart. The first 8 are numbered 1 to 8, and then the next 88 are numbered 9 to 88. And I almost got one of the 1 out of 8, or the first 8. Number 1 belongs to Mr. Brown. Just because it was inspired by a Canadian winter scene, and Mr. Brown does do a video. You can see it here. 1 second. Is the video there? Yeah. Take a look at SB Brown's YouTube video. He reviews the pen. It's a beautiful pen. But I explain to you once again why I'm not buying it. It's a Leonardo. And for the life of me, nobody has yet to been able to explain to me the dynamics of their gold nibs. They have 14 karat nibs that look like essentially Yowo nibs, Yowo gold nibs. I've seen number 6 and maybe even number 8. Then I've seen kind of number 6 Le Fenice nibs. Now, is that the same? Or does it just have the different scrolling? Or is that Le Fenice number 6 or number 8 nibs that I've seen on some of the pens? Are those the in-house nibs that Leonardo is bragging about? I mean, look at their site. I haven't seen anything explicit. Take a look at some of the reviews. I think the reviewers are confused themselves. Until I figure out, I'm not going to buy a Leonardo unless it's, I'll show you which one I almost did, unless it's a great price with a Yowo nib. If it's steel or if it's gold, I'm not interested. I have their pens, and I'm not interested just in another model or the same model, different color, different resin. The only way I will buy another Leonardo is if I figure out this gold nib dichotomy that I just can't figure out, and I want a Leonardo with a gold nib, an in-house gold nib, if I can get one. So there you have it. I hope I've made that clear. And if any of you can figure this out for me, wow, I'd really appreciate it. I know I haven't been able. Next, what have I got for you? Well, let's go back to my screen. The only other pen that I've been looking at is this Mag 500. It's at the Casa della Stilografica. The Mag 500 is essentially it's got a number 5 nib, but it's a 14 karat flex nib. I'm really curious and tempted. I like the way it comes in this kind of an orange rippled ebonite, or a green rippled ebonite, or this red, and I like that clip. It's got that kind of vintage look, and it's another flex nib. You know, $270 or euros is approximately, what is it, $250, $300 US, a little more Canadian. I'm tempted. I almost pulled the trigger on this one, but it's something that's in my radar. And I haven't seen, I mean, apart from a Magna Carta advertisement, and maybe even some other retailer was advertising it, which is kind of biased because they're trying to sell the pen. But I haven't seen any reviews on this number 5, flex nib. So if any of you've got that pen, let me know how it's working out for you. But I've been really, really tempted to buy that one. Now, what else have I got for you? Oh, yes. Okay, here we go. I don't know if anybody took the cue Friday, January 31st, 2025, Atlas at 1 o'clock my time, and I think it's 12 o'clock Chicago time, did their experienced pen sale. Let me tell you it was a 2.5 hour marathon where I think he sold in excess of 100 pens. At the end, he's got this box full of products. He's got inks in there. He's got pens. He's got stickers. He's got journals. He's got all kinds of things. And at a fixed price, it's varied products, and people, it's not a bidding process. What it is that he puts up the photograph, then you have to wait for this green dot that comes out. It's on this Discord server. When the green dot is on, then anybody can push go. You type in claim and you enter, and the person that kind of is quickest to the claim ends up buying the pen, if you will, and then you get invoiced and the pen gets delivered to you. And there's some false starts. People kind of pull the trigger before, and if you do, you get a strike. And you're allowed 3 strikes, and if it's 3 strikes, I think you're out. So a lot of people, you're on that enter button, just waiting to make sure you're the first one. And some pens, you had Estes, you had Sailors, you had all kinds of pens that people were interested in. So it was a lot of fun, I got to tell you. So fountain pen therapy did contribute to the coffers of Atlas stationers. I bought quite a few pens. I have a list here. Let me tell you mind you, I ended up buying, it's kind of a mix of a roller ball. I was looking for one particular roller ball for my son, the doctor. It was the Mayora Hippocratica. And, my son told me he doesn't want a fountain pen because, it's messy at the hospital. It's not ideal. And he wanted something that writes a little bit better than just the ballpoint. So he was looking for a roller ball. And it was on the list. So I wanted to make sure I got that one. And then there were other roller balls on the lists, on the sale list, and there were ballpoint pens. So, my pen haul, if you will, was a little bit mixed. I've got a fountain pen in there, a nice one, and then I've got some roller balls, and I've got ballpoint pens. So at one point they were calling me not fountain pen therapy, but roller ball therapy, or ballpoint therapy, or pen therapy. They wanted to change the name of my channel, but it was a lot of fun. A lot of people are recognized in the chats. I really recommend it. And you can get some great deals. So here's what I bought, and when I get them, of course, I'll show them to you live. First of all, here is my Mayora Hippocratica. Beautiful pen. It's a surprise for my son. My son doesn't take a look at these things. He's too busy, so I don't think I'm revealing anything. I've got this Modern Time Peniter. It is I forget now if this is a roller ball or a ballpoint, but either way, I was interested in seeing what that Modern Time triangular grip gave. I've got this set of Peniter ballpoints, really great price. I got to tell you, I figure I might maybe, when you want to gift them, it's a nice gift. So I bought that set. Then I have this Pelikan M600 white tortoise. Take a look at this, but don't get excited. It's not a fountain pen. It is a roller ball, but at $130, I thought it was a steal. Beautiful pen. And, I find myself using roller balls a little more often at work, so I figured I start putting some away here and some that I can enjoy. And then, of course, I got this Optima Nero Perla. I could not resist. I noticed that the Italian pens are the more expensive pens on that at that sale. People don't pull the trigger on it right away. Sailors are very popular. STs are very, very popular because some of the less expensive pens are more popular. But, the more expensive Italian pens, like they had Visconti's, they had the Visconti Homo Sapien, they had the Visconti Crystal, which is the Homo Sapien with the ink window. I put them up for you on the screen. Those pens, there were, it's got a good price, but they were going for a very good price. But, you didn't have 25 people running to buy it, put it this way. And this Nero Perla, I'd not planned to buy it. It was going for a certain price. Nobody was bidding for it. Nobody was taking it. So what typically Brendan Schmidt does, most of the times anyway, if nobody wants to buy it, he puts it away. Or sometimes when he wants to absolutely get rid of it or sell it, he starts to reduce the price. And he reduces it by $50. And he reduced it by $50. And it was too tempting. I had to claim it. And I did. So that's essentially the pens that we ended up getting. Here are the pens that I missed. For the love of me, I thought I was the first one, but I wasn't. There's this primary manipulation for a Leonardo. Yes, I know it's a Leonardo, but the price was ridiculous. I think it's an Atlas exclusive. The price was so ridiculous, and it was a steel nib, but I figured I'd go for it, and I lost out. And maybe it's just, fate. I can't buy another Leonardo with a steel nib. But the one I was really disappointed was I didn't get this Waterman Karen. I know that Hemingway Jones is raving about that pen, and it was a good price, and I don't think it was in the cards for me. So I lost the claim there. Somebody else picked it up. But there you have it. So Atlas Stationers, I recommended. I think he does that at the end of every month. Take a look at that. Spend some time right before. If you become a member of their Discord, I think what they do is they send you the list, a primary, just an interim list of the pens that they plan on putting up for sale. So you have an idea of whether or not the sale interests you, because it is a little bit long. But, if you can go through the whole 2 hours, or, go in when it's time for you to bid on the pen or claim a pen, there you have it. So I strongly recommend it. And now I know Brendan Schmidt, is going to send me his bill. And as soon as I get those pens, we'll unbox them and we'll show you, live what I've got, do some writing samples. And I think some of them will also form part of an actual review. So there you have it. And maybe it's time for me to start taking a look at some of the ball points and some of the roller balls and kind of expand our repertoire. I find myself writing with a cheap roller ball, kind of a Bic sort of thing. And maybe it's time to write with a roller ball, a Pelican M600. I'm looking forward to that. So, or a Peniter. So there you have it. That's the Atlas sale. What else have I got for you here? I think that's it for this segment in terms of the market. We'll be right back. I want to do some YouTube reviews, show you what's there that's of interest. And even there is kind of slim pickings in my view. Go back and look at what I've done and what's coming. So stay tuned for the next segment. Okay, so for the second segment, YouTube reviews, what's out there that attracted my attention? Well, first of all, you have a Shaq MD who came up with an additional test. Remember that, was it Pensane, if I'm not mistaken, I forget the name of the channel, had gone through some testing of the C2000 and that famous cap and the leak, the air leaks and drying up of the pen, etc., etc. And Shaq MD came out with another test. He used a fog gun, believe it or not, and he's also got a way to seal that cap. So what did I do? Well, I went out and bought the fog gun. I'm going to show it to you. I'm going to do the same test. The seal solution is coming in as well, so stay tuned for that. But thank you, Shaq MD. I wanted to give you a heads up, like I said I would. It's your idea, but I just want to show my viewers, how I'm doing it and see if it works for me. We've got 2 reviews from Une Fontaine de Plume. Again, it's the C200 or 2000, excuse me, that takes kind of a front seat. He's got his own solution. Originally we all thought that maybe, anyway, I'm going to get to the C2000 in a second. So I recommend that as well. And then Une Fontaine de Plume reviews this Delta Firenze that I've been tempted to buy. My French friend doesn't like some of the trimmings in this pen. I think the trimmings are nice. So, sometimes beauty's in the eye of the beholder, but I know he generally had a good review for the pen, except for some of the trimmings there. In terms of my own videos this week, well, I reviewed this Tang Moon Booker CR Cologne Cathédrale. And the consensus is that it's maybe a nice pen, but it's at $98. It's just too expensive, 98 Canadian. I know some of you kind of criticize the fact that, here you have a Chinese pen maker dedicating a pen to some cathedral in Germany, and I know there was a German viewer who was almost insulted by the whole affair. Look, I'm not going to get political there. That's what, there may be some, additional meaning there for the fact that the Chinese did want to devote or were inspired by cathedral. I don't see anything outlandish in that. But at the end of the day, when we look at some of the writing samples and look some of the pen hauls, etc., I'm going to do a writing sample with it. I think it's got a great nib. But having said that, I think most of you agreed that it's just too expensive and there are other pickings. What's coming up next week? Well, I think I'm going to publish that. I have a beautiful Grail pen, and I've been meaning to publish it. I know one of the viewers said, well, do you review any other pens besides Chinese pens? And he was right. It's just that, the Chinese kind of took over the early 2025, and I did want to give them heads up and priority because I know it interests you, the viewers. But having said that, we've got some other pens, I could assure that viewer, and we'll commence the non-Chinese listings of or reviews of pens this week. So stay tuned for that. So that completes the YouTube segment. Okay, next segment is what's new in the fountain pen studios. What have I been having fun with this week? Well, a couple of things first. First of all, these are kind of the pens that I'm going to be looking at in a few seconds. But I did want to show you, before I do that, I did want to show you what the pens I used this week at the office. Okay, and we'll take a look at some of them. I did use, and let me take out my fun journal, as I like to call it. Here you have it. So we'll let's just cut to the camera. Okay, here we go. So first thing, this pen is turning out to be a really spectacular writing instrument. This is the Majon TI 136 that Shaq MD declared the winner over the ASVINE J16. And let me tell you, really, really nice. It's got this lemon nib that is just performing for me. Now, hopefully there's still some ink in here because I used it all week. So this is the, take a look at the juice on this thing. Majon TI 136. And the funniest thing is that I've reviewed this pen. Let me just focus a little more so you can take a look at how juicy it is. I reviewed this pen. The video is ready. I've never published it. I just forgot, which is a pity. But I think I'm going to wait for the TI 137 and maybe we'll do a comparison. And at the same time, it's kind of two birds with one stone. But I can tell you that this pen, if you folks have yet to indulge and you're looking for a Chinese pen and you haven't decided which, it's got a beautiful lemon nib, a little bit of an architect there. I don't know if it's long knife, or hand polished, I forget. One of the things I wanted to do is buy a bunch of lemon nibs with the right description and kind of compare them for you so that we know what the hell we're buying. I'm looking to do that sometime soon. Hopefully I will have the time and I will remember. But I can tell you that this pen just performed for me very, very nicely. Very nice. The other pen, of course, that I used this week is this Scribble La Dotta. Beautiful pen. One of my favorite pens, as it turns out. So this is the Scribble. I was taking notes on a deposition, and typically I like to take my notes by hand and then have my administrative assistant type them out. But very, very nice. I got to tell you, enjoyed this pen this week as well. It's just a beautiful writer, very comfortable pen. I know they've got some new models out or with different materials. I thought they were going to come out with a model, completely new model. I haven't seen it, but I've written to them because they did say they would reach out to me to have one of their new models reviewed. So I reached out to Luca at Scribo and said, Luca, if you got that new model, let me know. If you want to send it to me for review, it'd be a pleasure. So I'm waiting for them to get back to me in that regard, but that's Scribo. The other one, of course, I don't know if you guys took a look at my recap last week, but Mike Green, as made me very, very happy. He's come out with, for those who didn't see that video, he's come out with this section. Essentially, he took this is that big metal pen that's going for, I don't know, 40, 50 bucks. I forget now what they're selling it at. It's the imitation of the big custom Marucci pen. And the original pen comes with a very, I would say, a bad nib, just a stiff nail, nothing spectacular at all. And it has kind of a metal section. And what Mike Green has done is he makes these ebonite sections that accommodates the number 8 Jinao nib. And so I've managed to turn, and on top of that, he allows that nib section to attach to one of these huge Jinhao converters. So now all of a sudden I've got this custom Marucci imitation, which is much lighter. And, Mike, thank you very much. I know a lot of you have reached out to Mike Green and to let him know that you're interested. And if you want to get in touch with him, I hesitate to give you prices and all the rest of it because I'm not sure what he's selling them and if he's still doing them. But please get in touch with him. I will try to remember to leave down in the description is either his site or his just coordinates or his Instagram, where you can reach out to him and he'll let you know what the whole package, the whole kit costs. So I've managed to transform this red one, and I also used this green one, and number 8. And take a look at this. A week, no drying issues. The pen is working just fine. Thank you again, Mike. And he's got his own pens, by the way. He turns his own pens. Some of you told me that you've gone ahead and purchased beautiful pens. And if we can help Mike, why not? He's one of these small, independent, on his own sort of member of our community. And if I could encourage him, all the best to Mike. So there you have it. That's the pens. Those are the pens that I used this week. What else have I got for you? Well, okay. Let's take a look at the pen haul. Oh, before I do that, I did want to, there was one additional pen that I wanted to mention. This is that Tag Moon Booker CR dedication to a German cathedral. But take a look at this, or maybe we'll do it here. So this is the Tag Moon. Cologne Cathedral. That was the pen I reviewed this week. Sorry. And, I hadn't used it for a long, long time. since last week, I think. It was just sitting there on my desk because I know I wanted to revisit this. And, you know, it writes. It doesn't dry up. It is a nice pen. Now, is it worth $98? A lot of you have come to the conclusion that it doesn't. So there you have it. That's the Tagmo. Now, what have I got this week? What pens came in this week? Before we look at the C2000, and I have some fun stuff to show you. Guess what came in? No, it's not the Mont Blanc. We had, this is the P, what is it? I forget now if it's not the 139, but I'll put it up on the screen. This is the Majon, and this is that Lemon M7 with a hand-polished nib, and it's a lemon nib, and it's got the white mountain top, but you can tell it has 5 peaks, not 6. A Mont Blanc has 6, but this is as close as you can come to, you know, the real thing. And when I compare it to the Majon, for the life of me, other than the nib, I cannot see a difference, which leads me to believe that maybe either the same factory, or that Lemon is kind of got some connection to Majon and Moveman. I'm not sure. The only difference between the two pens is the top. The Majon doesn't have the Mont Blanc imitation or top. This one is kind of a little bit unfortunate, I would say. Majon also has, like the real thing, except the real thing has something else written, but it's got Majon on the side. It's got nothing on the clip, whereas the Lemon has nothing that I can see written on the cap, but it does have "Made in China" written on the clip. Clip is more than functional. It's a piston filler, believe it or not, and it's a brass piston. There's that lemon nib. We'll take a look at how it writes in a second. The nib section is removed. You see the 2 notches? And just give me a second. I didn't remove it, but I do have this tool that fits in nicely, and I think if you want to remove it, you need to use this, which is very similar to some other Majon pens. I think the Mont Blanc 149 imitation, I forget the numbers now, has a similar tool that is required to remove the nib. So the nib does remove with that tool. It's a piston filler, and I can tell I haven't inked this pen yet. There you have it. It rotates really nicely, and I can see the brass material underneath. So all and if you compare it to the Majon, you can see that they are exactly in my view, they are identical. Even the decorative etching or engraving is completely the same. At one point, I thought the Majon had kind of more of a yellow tint to it, but no. Depending on the light, they're exactly the same. It's got the same mechanism to remove the nib. It's got the same piston. So there you have it. That's the Majon. Now I don't want to mix up the caps. What we'll do is I'm going to ink this up, and I know I'm inking it up as we speak, but I did want to show you a writing sample, and I'm curious just to see how that nib works, but I wanted to show you the functioning of the piston before I actually ink the pen. So there you have it. Give me a second. We'll be right back. Okay, so we're back for the writing sample of this Lemon M7. I'm not sure I'm going to do a separate review of this pen, given that it is in my view, just a replica of the Majon, and that's why I wanted to deal with it in this recap. But, for those of you who are curious, here it is. By the way, the ink I used is this Majon. This, if I'm not mistaken, is the lighter blue of the two. Beautiful ink, just a beautiful ink. And let's take a look at how this is described as the hand polished medium nib. It is from lemon. I can see that it's got a kind of a little bit of kind of an architect. I don't know if you could see that, just a kind of an architect shaped tipping there, similar to that Mahjong TI 136 that I just showed you. If it writes the same way, well, Vincenzo is going to be another happy camper. So let's take a look at this. This is the, whoa, spelled it wrong. Exactly the same. And the nib is the lemon hand polished medium. So you can tell that the downstrokes, slightly wider than the cross strokes, so the opposite of a stub. A little bit of an architect tipping, I would say. It does have kind of a rhodium finish, or a more of a black finish there, as opposed to just silver or gold plating. But let me tell you, folks, that nib, just a hint of feedback when you go and get the line variation, you know. Oh, by the way, just like the other one, it does post by screwing on, except that it doesn't kind of line up. Maybe there's a way to do it again, but it, you know, you have to fiddle with it, which is unfortunate. But it does post a little bit, I would say, top heavy if you want to post it, but it's not a huge pen, so more than doable. But I'm happy. I loved the, you know, some other reviewers hated this pen. I loved it. It was one of my favorite pens. And let's take a look at, just curiosity, the Mahjong. It's been sitting there literally for months. I have not used this pen. Let me, just curious, just to see, hopefully there's some ink in there. It's got a Moonman. This is a Moonman fine nib that I really like because it kind of was springy. So this is the Mahjong. Look at that. Fine nib. You know, months. We're comparing the ASVINE C2000 in a second and show why it's kind of drying up on us. Well, this little gem doesn't dry up. So really like this pen. Yes, it's an imitation. Yes, it's highly inspired, and some would say even a fake. I'm not going to get into that debate at all. I like this pen. It gives me fountain pen therapy, and that for me is sufficient. Some of you may not, and it, you know, it's your choice. You know, don't buy, as they say, don't buy, and I respect that. So there you have it, the two twins. So that's the pen haul. Now, before we get into terms of inks, we're going to do an ink swatching in a minute. But in terms of inks, I don't have anything new for you yet, but I did order a bunch of Jinao inks. I have Mahjong, Moonman inks. I showed you the Ongdian inks. We're going to do some Jinao. I'm curious, a bunch of colors, and we'll do some swatching, and I'll let you know how beautiful bottles, I think. We'll see how those Jinao inks react. Are they as good as the Mahjong and the Ongdian? Well, stay tuned, folks. Very reasonably priced. So that may be something that might be of interest. Probably will be coming up next week, just a time for me to receive those bottles. There you have it. So the next thing I'd like to do is to transform the Fountain Pen Studios into a lab, and we're going to do some more testing of that nasty ASVINE C2000. Okay, so the ASVINE C2000 overhead camera. Here they are. I did all kinds of things during the week. I took the pens and stored them this way, nib down. I stored some of them nib up. I stored some of them just flat, just to see who dries up, who doesn't dry up. And essentially, they're all dry, except the one that I felt had no leak in the cap. Was it this one? Yeah. It's the light green. And even then, look, not ideal, okay? There is some skipping, but you can tell there it's not great. But I think this is the only one that really has any ink at all. This is the red one, and I think the red one as well, the cap was okay, but we'll see that in a second. So this is the red. You can see it's dried up, but at least I see some ink. The red blue is completely dry. That one leaked through my own testing. And the dark green, a little bit, but not more than that. So this beautiful pen is becoming a real pain. Now, I mean, this is not the first pen that dries up on us. I'm sure you can appreciate, but we got to find solutions. And you know, Shack MD had some solutions. And when I went out and I bought a fog machine. So here it is. It's by Ulanzi. Now, Ulanzi sells a lot of products for photographers, lights, and all kinds of rigs, etc. So, you know, I figured I'm going to use this to test, maybe test how cap seals go from now on in my reviews. And also maybe you'll be seeing some fog in some of my B-roll. But here's the machine. Great little contraption. Now, Shack MD had recommended to me another one, but his was like $300 on Amazon. This was half that price. Hopefully it'll work. And we're going to do some testing in those caps. So there you have it. It's a fun little contraption and just another tool for our fountain pen studios. So let's do dark blue first. Now we're going to get a bunch of smoke here, so and maybe noise. So be patient. We're going to put the pen in there. Turn on the machine. Can you see that it's definitely coming out of that cap? Now it's coming everywhere, but it's coming out of that cap for sure. It's just not tight enough here, but you can see that. Okay, you can see it coming out. And when I do my test, it's coming out. You can hear the noise coming out of there. So this one needs to be sealed. Let's take a look at this one. Well, I don't see it. It's coming out of the other end, but not in the end. So that one's capped. Okay, I'm back. Let's see. This thing, when it turns on, it's kind of difficult to turn it off. Okay, let's take a look at this and see what gives. You can see the smoke coming out. Definitely see the smoke coming out of the that nib section, clip section, and definitely. Whereas this one, where the seal was good, my test, no air. And let's take a look at how this reacts. You can tell there's no smoke coming out of the top there. You see it? So, there you have it. Now, if that's the case, well, we just saw this pen, and we saw it months non-use, no drying up. Let's see what it gives here. You can tell there's no smoke coming out of anywhere. So, you know what? I think I'm going to be using... Now, let's take a look at the J16. Because I think Shaq did come out with a short showing that even the J16 kind of leaks from the top. Let's see if mine leaks. Well, mine doesn't. So, can't blame the J16. Mine doesn't leak at all. Do we have another pen here that Oh, I've got this little crest, Japanese crest that keeps drying up on me. And let me just see if the cap is the problem. Whoa! You see that? Hold on. Yeah. Look at that. It's coming out of everywhere from that clip. And that's why this really nice pen, in terms of the nib, which I'm going to be comparing to the Pilot E95S, just dries up on me within the day. So, folks, we have an additional tool that we're going to be using in my reviews to test if these caps are sealed or not. I'm going to do more experiments to make sure that it is a viable testing tool, because I don't want to mislead anybody. But it looks like Shaq has got something here. And welcome, Yolanzi. You're formed part of the team. So there you have it. Okay, hope that was fun for you guys. There you have it. We had some fun. Smoke all over the place, mind you. I hope this thing is not toxic. Shaq MD does say that the spray, and here's the spray that I'm going to be using. 1 second, we're going to cut to my... And I did not get it on time for this review, unfortunately, but let me just... My apologies, my computer is not behaving. Here we go. Yeah, this is the plastic dip. Apparently what it is that you just spray just 2 shots into the cap, and it forms kind of a rubberish plastic covering, which seals the pen. And he's had some success with that. Now, what we'll do is we'll show you, I'll let you know. I'm going to play with it during the week. I was hoping to get the product for today. For today's recap, I did not. I've ordered it. It should be on its way. It's $25.99 Canadian. When I get it, we're going to test it, and we'll see whether or not, in fact, it does work for me. Shaq may be a little more handy with these things. I'm just wondering, spraying that thing in the cap, well, where does it go? And apparently it works. Fontaine de Plume has another solution with, a 3D printer, and that's a little more complex with a plastic cutout, etc. The fact of the matter is that we're not supposed to go over loops when we buy our pens. Let's face it. I mean, I wanted to declare this thing the pen of the year, and based on its looks and its nib, it was certainly up there. But it's got a major issue here, and if they're not hearing what we're saying here, then they're sleeping, on their quality control, which is not good. So there you have it. Next segment, I got some swatching for you. Stay tuned. Okay, so for this last segment of this episode, we're going to be doing some ink swatching. And you'll recall in previous recaps, I showed you that I had received the 2024 Van Diemen's ink collection. There are 12 inks, one per month from January to December. And what I propose to do is I'm going to review the first 6 from January to June in this recap, and show you the following 6 months from July to December in the next weekly recap, if you will. Now, these were all pre-recorded, so if you see different colors and different mentions or a different discourse that leads you to believe that this was recorded before, it was. In fact, I had published one full review for me to put on air, but I decided to break them up and provide that in my recaps. So there you have it. So what we'll do next is we'll review the first 6 inks. So stay tuned for some ink swatching therapy. Okay, so here's the box. Before we get into the swatching, I wanted to show you how it comes. A beautiful box, by the way. You've got some very interesting materials inside. You've got some swatch cards from Van Diemen's for the 12 inks, I would imagine, which is a nice touch. You've got a beautiful catalog, and every page, it goes through every ink. It gives you kind of a swatch and a description of the ink with some romantic, poetic kind of prose that, inspires the inks. And you got one page for every ink. Very, very nice. Really nice quality from Van Diemen's, I must say. Very nice. You've got another card here that gives you a recipe for a drink. The Van Diemen's Pink Devil. Isn't that a nice touch? You've got a gift, $15 gift card. Thank you very, very much. Using this code in the gift card. So I'm going to order some more inks there and get a $15 discount. And then you've got some swatches here. Some stickers, which is always a nice touch. I'm not into stickers, but some of you may be. So there you have the stickers. And here are the inks. Nice bottles. They're well taken care of. So in terms of, packaging, not a problem. Here you go. You got a bottle for every month going from January to December. You got 12 bottles, and there you have it. So that's the box. Let's get to work and do some fun swatching. Stay tuned. Okay, so we're all set for the swatching. First of all, the tools we're going to be using. Well, we've got just two small bottles of water here, and folded nib that I use. A lot of you have asked me where to buy this. I used to buy this at Toronto. I think it was Toronto Pens. I don't believe they make it anymore, but if you look up folded pens, I'm sure you'll find other sites. In fact, I will try to find a site and maybe give you a reference in my description. And I've got this beautiful glass pen, but that can accommodate just these type of nibs. So you can just insert them depending on the width that you want. And these dip nibs work fine. So those are the two tools I will be using. Some towels. I've got Tomoe River paper. I've divided the paper in half with basically six sections on each side. That makes 12, one for each month. So we're ready to proceed. So let's take a look at this. The first ink is going to be January. I will put up on the screen what it's supposed to look like. This is the picture you see there is from the website of Van Diemen's, which is wonderful, by the way, because all you have to do is click on it and it will give you let me just show you. In fact, I think it would be more appropriate if I show you how it works. So let's just see here if I could put this on the screen for you. There you go. You see, you just put your mouse over the ink in question and it gives you the swatch. This is February, March, and April. So the pictures, I will put out a picture on the screen and then we'll compare the swatch on this Tomoe River paper to see if it is any way similar. So let's start. First of all, this looks like is a shimmering ink, so we're going to give it a nice shake to make sure that we get that shimmer working for us. Okay, let me just going to dip that. There you go. And this is going to be, what should we put here? Well, we can put this, January. And we'll put 2024. There we go. That is really nice, by the way. Usually these yellows leave a little bit to be desired when you actually use them with a pen. Next, February doesn't appear to be a sheening ink. I think it's supposed to be a shimmering ink. I think this is more of a sheen. So we'll take a look at February and see what gives. Kind of review them all. Maybe at the end, once we get the dry. In fact, that's what I think we will do. We'll come back to the comparison with what's on the site once these inks are dry. Otherwise, we're not going to get a true picture of things. So this is February 2024. So far, very saturated purplish ink. Very nice, actually. That's February. Okay, let's see what. And before we do that, no, it doesn't look like it's got any shimmer in there. So this is March. This is probably going to be more of a shading ink, I would say. So this is March 2024. Wash that out. And we get to April. Oh, another shimmering ink, so we'll give that a little shake. I think I'm not supposed to shake it that bad, but for sake of brevity and efficiency, get this thing done as quickly as possible. I think the result is what we want to see. So this is April. So April 2024. Okay. just noticed that I may have just some water droplets there. Okay, so that's April. We've done 4, folks. So this is May. And right now I think we'll be content to just swatch them. And then we'll take a look at the precise descriptions that are given in comparison with the website. So this is May. Let me just get... Wow, that's a nice blue. And as you may know, if you frequent my channel, these days I'm obsessed with these kind of light blues or turquoise blues. Just anything that looks like it I buy or use. Again, this is not a shimmering ink, so we don't need to shake it. Let's see what gives. Okay, so okay, we've done half, folks. Or almost half. No, half. We've done 6. Here we go. Okay, so now the real fun starts, eh? Now that we swatched these inks, let's take a look at how these inks perform. I've got a series of pens here that I've inked and that I try to match with the appropriate ink. I've got this beautiful Visconti, which hopefully I think matches with this January. I've chosen to ink January as opposed to April, just because it is more gold and less pink than April. So this is the Van Diemen's January 2024, and the pen is the Visconti and I think this is a fine, it's a medium nib. I don't feel, let me just give you a better close-up here. I don't feel that the ink has that nice smooth flow. I can actually feel the shimmer particles. And it does come down, you know, plus ou moins, as they say in French, but there you have it. Next one I've chosen is February. Let me just actually show you the ink so the next one is this February, and I thought that this could match. So February, and this is Aranga pen Monterey. So this is Van Diemen's February 2024. Yeah, you can see this as much as Aranga Monterey, I believe it is. And this is a 1.5 stub. I can sense that you know, there's more flow to this ink. It's more of a regular writing ink. Very nice. Gives you that nice shade or shimmer, if you will. The next one in the group here is March. This one here, and I've got another Ranga pen, which I thought matched pretty nicely. So this is a ASVINE, I believe it is in Ranga. So and it is March 2024. Another Ranga, and I'm going to spell this wrong. New, I think, not sure. And that is is it a broad? It's a Schmidt broad. So it's a broad nib. Not bad. Kind of a nice dark. Green. Got that nice shade of green, which is very different from the usual greens that one can get used to. The next one that I've chosen, I skipped April, just because I think April and January are kind of similar, and I don't like that pink shade. So the next one is May, and I've chosen this Mayora Posillipo. Very nice pen, cracked ice. One of my favorite pens. So this is Van Diemen's. And this is May 2024. Mayora Posillipo. Which is a beautiful part of Naples where all the well-to-do live, so to speak. Fountain pen therapy. There we go. Beautiful blue. Very, very nice. There you have it. So that's my next pen. Now, what have I got for you next? We got June. Now, for June, I chose this Ranga Splendor with the number 8 size nib. So this should be nice. Yeah, very nice. So I'm doing June 2024, and this is the Ranga Splendor with the number 8 broad nib. Just for the sake of being complete, I forgot to mention that the Posillipo, the Mayora, I think is a 1.5, yeah. 1.5 stub. Try to take some of the, the thicker size nibs, just because the inks will, show up a little bit better. So there you have it. This is February the 2nd, 2025 recap. That recaps it. And hopefully that was enjoyable. I tried to make things a little bit different. Enjoy, entertain, give you some fountain pen therapy, give you some ideas, share with you my own thoughts, my own experiences. And that's what it's all about, folks. So have a great week. Please subscribe if you haven't subscribed yet. Take a look at the timestamps below if you're interested. And you know what? Enjoy your pens, your paper, and your inks. Ciao.